No, he's in Italy. It's a little too
That's a
fancy for
great-
us.
Yeah.
Hopefully, well, let's see.
A little too fancy. Who knows?
Yeah, I think there's 7 hours ahead,
Yeah,
or
so
6
he's
hours
kind
ahead.
of tuning in.
We could have the meeting in Venice.
Megan, that was-
It doesn't need to.
All right, why don't we all rise and say the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone to the April 14th work session. Before we begin, I'll just make a motion to open up the work session. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Just to let everyone know, Dave Carnwright could not make it tonight because he's in Italy, traveling around for a week, a little bit over a week. So hoping he is, I spoke to him yesterday or the day before. It sounds like he's having an enjoyable time. So well deserved for him. Before we get into the monthly department reports, we have Deke here, who's going to give us, and Dan, thank you, Dan, and they're going to give us an update on things down at the Donahue Farm. Deke, take it away.
So first on our hit parade is the milling.
Yes.
The milling will not have the public involved in any way. It'll be just Dan and I and the 3 milling company guys. We'll have it all roped off. We'd like to do it 21, 22, 23, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week.
All right, 21, 22, 23.
if
All right.
needed.
Okay.
It'll all be roped off. No one will be within 100 feet of it.
Okay.
And then once that's done, we volunteers will then take our time stacking and stickering it.
Okay. And I think you've already provided us the insurance, right?
Yep.
Certificate of insurance. All right. I don't think there was, does anybody have any questions for Deke?
The logs that were dropped and the I mean, we're getting out of mud season a little bit now, but it's not a lot of heavy equipment there, right? Is it
Yeah.
your mill that's already there?
No,
Oh,
they're
they're
coming in with a 35-foot flatbed,
Uh-huh.
but it's dry now. We were there. It's fine. You have to drive in and,
All right, so,
yeah.
so it's
And
not-
Deke, you were explaining to me, I didn't realize this, but in regards to stacking the wood, I know you're going to pick some places to stack the wood, but what I didn't realize is a lot of this has to sit for a year.
Air dry.
Air dry to take well over a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna. I'm cleaning up the fence line now, so we'll put it along the fence line by
Okay.
Twigton.
And the intent is to use that wood for,
Projects on the farm.
right, as well as potentially to use it for the kayak racks, potential kayak racks.
That's the second question
Okay.
of the evening. There are 3 trees to the right of the barn when you're facing the barn.
Yes. 3 trees to the right when you're
by
facing
the
the barn.
kennels where the
Yes, yeah.
By the kennel.
Got it.
There's 2 black locusts and a maple, I think, a little maple. The black locusts we'd like to use and mill for the kayak racks. And they're leaning toward the barn and they really need to come down because
Okay.
if they hit the barn and hit that roof, it's not a good story.
Okay.
So what I'm asking is if you guys could hire Alex, one of the tree guys, just to drop the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Once they're down, we'll deal with cutting them up and milling them and using them how we're going to use them. So they don't have to cut it, they don't have to chip it. It'll just drop.
Will you need the gentleman that's coming by for the April 21st to
It'd be nice to
23rd
have it done. It'd be nice to have it down so we could mill it for the racks.
while he's there?
Do we have any idea how many racks we're able to put in? We were
Says-
saying 3.
You know, we're, I'd have to, here's the thing, is that I was talking to Dave Work about it, and I'd have to show you the area. We're gonna try to have a meeting. In fact, I was talking to somebody else today. I can't remember his name, but I was trying to have a meeting sometime in early May because we're still finalizing everything. We're almost there. There's two parts of this. There's some moving parts with this whole thing. Cornwall Yacht Club has been very good, but we're almost there. In fact, Joe McKay is doing his final legal review of it. So, but I could show you the area, Deke, and Dave Work kind of knows where it is. I actually have it. I met with a Cornwall Yacht Club gentleman, and I put some tape on it. It's at the very corner where the parking lot and the road goes down towards the Cornwall Yacht Club, right there. But Bill and I are actually meeting there tomorrow because with the EV chargers, they want to put one of the chargers there. It's only going to go about where the fence line is now. It's only going to go in about I think it's about 7 feet deep.
So that fence line moves 7 feet south.
Correct. And then it's going to go out, I think it was like 30 feet. I have the piece of tape that's up on. I taped it kind of all the way down on both sides. So it's going to go in facing north to south. So to me, it sounds like maybe 3 racks. I just don't know how wide these racks are, particularly if you're using wood, so.
What are they, like, each about 7 feet wide and about 8 feet long, 10 feet long? Something like that.
Kayaks can be 16.
And oh, by the way, we also have a couple people who were trying to use some of the room for rowing shells. We had 2 people. So I know we're doing the best we
Those
can.
are really long.
Those are really long. So that again, that might be one of those things where we can't pin the racks up all the way to the back because you got to use that length for a rowing shell. You know what I'm saying? So if the rowing shells are going this way,
Right, can't
the
be
racks
butting
are
up
going
against the fence.
yeah. So I know we're trying to accommodate everybody.
It is kind of the utility end of the waterfront.
Yeah.
Is kind of the idea.
So, but I guess the question is, if you didn't know the dimensions of, and I don't know what the dimensions of the kayak racks are, but if you got general dimensions of it, maybe getting online with Dave, or I'll meet you down there. Bill and I are gonna be down there tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Well, since we're building, we can accommodate whatever size we have.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is this is, for the purposes of we fell those 3 trees, you cutting it up, is it gonna matter that?
No, because I'm still gonna make them 8 by 8s,
Okay,
right, for the
Okay.
posts, and we need 6 of them,
all right.
so
So all 3 trees are leaning towards the barn?
2 of them are.
2 of
And the
them
other
are.
one's kind of ratty, so.
I'm kind of half. They don't have any branches on the kennel side. All the
Okay.
branches are on the barn side.
All right, I just don't want my house to be torched and burned down because
Drop some
we
trees.
just decided to drop 3
We
trees.
do need to plant replacement trees.
Well, that'll all happen when we clean up that site,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
and they are a danger to that roof.
okay. Thoughts, Bill, or?
I'm just looking at Dave Halverson to see which way the wind is blowing with Dave Halverson about
On
the tree removal and
Well, there's no removal, we just need them dropped. We'll
cost
do the
money,
rest.
that's all.
Yeah.
It's all about money. Because you're probably gonna wanna bring a crane in for that, because it's so close to the building. So you're talking money.
well, sure, you're talking money if they hit the roof as
That's
well.
all.
That one, yeah, okay, so first, all right, because that's a very good point. I can't guarantee you're gonna be able to have those down by the time, in time.
Sure, I get it.
So, because right now we're gonna have to have Dave find out how much it's gonna cost. We might have to, I have no
Well,
idea.
it won't
how
be
much
that
it'll
much.
cost.
It won't be a bidding, it won't be
No,
required bids.
no.
But you have to get three bids.
No, it's below the threshold.
It's not gonna be $300.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm
But it's gonna be
assuming
under
we-
10.
No,
thousand,
yeah,
so.
yeah. All right, well, all right, first of all, do either of you have an objection to felling dropping the 3 trees.
No, they've said it to me several times, and I've looked at it, and I think it makes sense. I'm always like, as long as we can plant 2 for each one that we cut, I'm happy.
Okay. So why don't I do this? First is, I can do this all in one motion though. Deke, what about the other item that was on the agenda was the pumpkins or pumpkin chunkin, yeah.
Oh,
Is that?
I didn't know that was on.
I think there were just questions about this.
So,
Are you making catapults?
it's a fall event, where we make a catapult and you chuck pumpkins into the field.
Yeah.
But the idea would be to grow our own pumpkins. You pick your pumpkin and put it on the thing.
All right.
And, that.
So with that one, we don't have to pass that today. You can come back to us in regards to adding that to the,
And maybe we come
The
back with
event
what kind
list.
of, like a slingshot,
Yeah.
or trebuchet, or
yeah,
rocket powered.
I think we passed the schedule of events pending, with those as holdouts pending
Yeah.
documentation and.
So why don't, well, you guys come back to us in regards to that one. So why don't I do this? I'm gonna make let me back up before I do this motion. April 21st to 23rd, suppose, if it's raining, like, are you
Then we'll have to delay it.
delay? Okay, all right. So, and what's the name of the company?
Sedek. Jacob Sedek.
I did see it.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's got a website, shows you all what.
Okay. all right.
Is it said Mac? Is it this one? Is this it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Can
That's
we
the-
add potato guns to the launching of the? Just wondering.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Vegetable flinging
That means
arms.
we have to grow
race.
potatoes.
How's a potato going?
huh?
Is there explosives involved?
Aerosol,
I mean-
hairspray in the bottom of a pipe,
Come on.
and then you light
Let me
it.
just see this.
Think about
Let me
Let's
see the
think
name.
about
Oh, I
it.
have this
Let's
here
think about
somewhere.
it.
Okay, I
The
did
other ones
see
are big-
this.
However you
rubber
make
bands.
one.
Send my custom contract. Okay,
Let's just promise we'll think about it.
okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the Donahue Committee to have a sawmill day commencing April 21st to the 23rd. The sawmill will be provided by Sedmec Custom Contracting LLC at no charge, correct? And they have provided
No charge
provided
to the
their
village.
certificate of insurance for the village. And then wait, so I'll make it two separate motions then. So can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay,
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now I'm gonna make a motion to have the DPW find us a contractor that can drop the 2 black locust and 1 maple tree that are closest to Donahue Farm barn. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, the last thing is, those trees, after drop, Deke and the Donahue Farm Committee will take care of cutting those up, and those will be used for Donahue Committee purposes as well as the kayak racks. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, very good. If we can get this done by then, Deke, finding this contractor,
David, call me when you're gonna meet with him. I'll talk to him about it.
I'm trying to
You may
think,
be able
should
to
I?
table it, just cut it and let him fall, not have to clean it. I'll talk to Alex.
I'll talk to him. I'll get him.
What I'm thinking is should I do, if you find a contractor between now and then, but I have no idea how much this is gonna cost. So I was gonna say, I'll give a ceiling, but you find them. We'll go from there.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, Deke?
One last thing.
Yes.
Tommy Whalen is, taking his old barn down where the old DPW was.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan and I looked at it, and there's some wood there that we can salvage. He offered to it to the farm. One of the purposes of doing that is to use the wood to make a shed for the paver and put it behind the shed, the current shed, and maybe even that choo-choo train. So
Oh,
we can-
okay, the
yes.
holiday,
Yeah, so we can clear the shed, we want to clear the shed out, work on it,
Yes.
and use it for projects. So,
well, I have no, do we need to, are you asking that DPW get involved, or is Tommy offering to drop the stuff, or you guys gonna go pick it up,
we'll
or
do it.
you guys will pick it up? All right,
We
excellent.
just need the okay to move the stuff when the time comes. We have, roofing material. We have the leftover,
Oh,
Metal roofing.
the metal roofing.
that we'll use as the top.
All right. That sounds like a plan. So just
Thinking.
keep us informed. It sounds good. I don't think we don't need to.
Take possession of the wood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing the farm stuff.
Yeah,
and then-
We have the wood, we'll reuse it,
Okay.
repurpose it,
Very good.
all right?
We don't need any motion on that, so that's all good.
We're talking about a lean-to type construction that's open on one side to the elements and
Yes.
big enough to,
Cover.
but no electricity in it and
The
no
way it
plumbing and
The way it
no-
is now.
It's gotta have indoor plumbing.
I'm just looking at man here. Also, the building envelope, I think is there room within it where you're proposing, or
Well,
is it not?
Well, no, you're talking about putting it on the back, but the question is now we're getting into, are we expanding the footprint?
Well, the building area is bigger than the footprint of the buildings. So it does extend beyond, I just can't remember if it extends
Yeah,
beyond.
you just
the
have
back
to
of the
see
shed.
if there's a space.
It's larger than the existing foundations.
Right, no, I'm just thinking about the conservation easement that's on, that you can't go beyond.
No, that easement, in fact, we went through it, we walked through it with Scenic Hudson and they pointed out, it's quite a bit
Oh,
beyond.
all right, that's all I wanted to make
I
sure.
don't know on
I
that
didn't
side,
want,
though.
I didn't want
That's a
to, you
good
know,
question.
yes,
Yeah, it's quite a bit beyond.
okay,
those
that's
buildings.
good. That's very helpful to know. That way we don't have to get them involved, we'll be good.
We'll
Okay,
check behind it. I'm not sure, but maybe they draw the line right for us.
gotcha, okay. Any questions, more about Bill?
I don't think we have to pass a resolution to
No,
get the
we
wood.
don't. No,
Thank you all.
We're good, thank you very much, thanks, Dan, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty, moving on to monthly reports. Let's start with the treasurer's report. Let me just see that. Here we go. All right,
Here's a packet. I'm gonna steal the top sheet.
yes, go ahead. Megan, anything to point out?
The village has collected 80% of our property tax payments.
Good.
Yeah, so 80% were collected before penalty was applied. Now penalty has hit all bills, so I thought that was
Okay.
that was really good. NICLAS interest, $8,680.68 through this year, 2025. We have a couple blanks here in regards to revenue, just an early meeting, the way
Yes.
the receipting ends up.
On NICLAS, can I ask?
Yeah.
That's the total amount that was earned in last fiscal year.
That is just general. Are you looking for, because we invested for water?
Not the
and
water, no,
sewer?
but just how are we calculating the 8680?
This is just for 2025.
So that's just in the account, what's on top of the principal that we put in, that's just
This is just
2025.
for 2025.
Okay.
Yes, Yep.
So January, February, March.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what was our initial investment? And not to put you on the spot.
$800,000.
It was 800.
For general.
So if I were to do it manually, but obviously you would save me that pain if I asked, I would go back to our monthly reports, just add up the number from each of them. But do we know what the balance is now?
I don't have that on me at the
Yeah, that's right.
moment. But I believe it's a little shy of $40,000
Oh,
total
it's
since we
great.
invested.
Do you know what we're averaging, percentage wise?
The interest rates bounce around significantly, but typically monthly, I would say between $1,300 and $1,500 a month that we're making off of it, just with our general account. Next month, I'll have an update in regards to water and sewer
Okay.
to be invested as well.
Do they have, is there like a portal that you look at or an
Yeah.
account
Yeah.
management thing that?
Yep.
Okay.
I can see, day to day, the interest rate, what we're making.
Can you average it at, is there, in the portal, can you determine what the average interest rate is over, the first
Yeah.
90 days of the month?
Yeah, it's pretty close to 4.1849%, give or take a few.
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Moving on. Manny, how you doing, Manny?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
You sure about that?
Oh, yes.
All right, good. All right, Manny, let's see. On-site inspections 23. Anything to note, Manny?
For the inspection, no, all that is going on. We're still pushing to make sure that we get all the fire safety done before December 31st.
That's a lot. You knocked out a lot of them.
Yeah, doing a lot more now, and now in the summertime, I'll spend more time doing that, hopefully.
All right, and looks like building permits 18, that's quite a bit too, so things
They're coming in, yes.
they're coming in. All right, very good. And we will discuss, it's on the agenda, the food trucks.
Thank you.
Where is that?
Thanks so much.
Hang on. How come I don't know that? I thought the food truck stuff was on there. Am I missing something? Manny, then why don't you, wait a minute, hold on. My previous agenda had the food trucks on there. Maybe I took it off. Okay. All right, Manny, we'll hold that for other business, because I want to talk to you about the well, if you want to talk about it now, the food truck permit, yeah, why don't we do that now? Yes, good, very good.
Here's a draft for the application and checklist that I created. It's hot off the press, so don't release it yet. I want to take one more look at it tonight. And if everything is well, I will email it to Doris tomorrow so she can make it accessible to all the applicants.
Yes, okay.
This is straight out of the book. These are the kind of things I will be looking for during my inspection. The idea is to provide it to the vendors ahead of time so they can inspect themselves according to that checklist. And when they come and meet up with me, I'll be using the same checklist to make sure that everything is in compliance accordingly.
And you're gonna physically check each truck.
Yes, I have to check each truck according to that checklist. Only trucks that have grease-laden vapor equipment. For the other trucks, I don't need to inspect.
You don't, okay.
Only ones that have, I'm sorry, I missed it.
We call grease-laden vapor.
Oh, okay.
They generate that with some kind of appliance, a stove, a griddle,
So
big
as long as it
fryer.
cooks.
If they were cooking, then they got to have what's called a type 1 commercial cooking hood over that appliance.
All right.
So with that comes, what type of fuel are they using? Is it gas? Is it solid? It's a compressed natural gas? And then each one of those item or cylinder will have a special inspection accordingly.
And we can't check for that the day of.
We just check it today. This inspection is good for 1 year within the village. Every municipality got to do their own. So they come, they can get the inspection anytime, and that is good for a full year. And they can come to any event within that year without being re-inspected.
How long does it normally take for an inspection to be completed, Manny?
Half an hour to an hour and a half. Some guys are really good with, keeping up their trucks. Some are really bad.
All right.
It's a lot of documentation they have to provide that they have to have ready I find that a lot of them don't have it, but with this information, they should come prepared. And if they do, 20 minutes, we should be done. If they come, or maybe less.
Okay. So you're gonna do a final check on this and then you're gonna give it to Doris. Is that what you said for
Tomorrow
tomorrow?
morning, I'll be
Okay,
having it.
all right, I'll be in touch with Doris to make sure this gets to the
And
individual
fee-
needs
The fee's
to.
only $50. I remember, and when I looked it up, you and I remember when we were doing the fees.
Yes,
we agreed to
we
reduce
thought
some of it. This one was reduced to $50, so.
Okay.
And that includes a certificate of compliance that they'll get at the end.
Okay, yeah, we thought it was 100, right?
It was
Yeah.
before,
But we
then-
lowered it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
If they'd been inspected by another municipality and had a certificate of compliance from there, would you be able to accept it?
No, sir. Only, I mean, right now, through our building official conference, we are talking to the state to see if this could be done at the county level. So every municipality within that county should accept the license. The way it's set up now, each municipality gotta do their own. I don't know what the inspector in the other municipality did or how he did it, so I can't rely that. Not that it's wrong, but, you know, I can't rely that it's right.
Mhm.
What if they had one from Nyack?
I would-
I wouldn't accept it.
You wouldn't accept it. I don't blame you.
Yeah, that guy's suspect down there.
And just on this checklist, I'm seeing a couple of things that, to me, to my layman's eye, they look a little duplicative. So container construction in accordance with NFPA 58. Then in here it says container construction shall be an NVG 2 cylinder. Is that for a different kind of gas system?
Different
or-
type of gas system,
Okay,
that's
got it. Thank you.
All right, any further questions for Manny?
If you had to guess, it's a speculative, dumb question, I guess, but how many people will pass this? Like,
Not most. Fortunately, it's become like a regular restaurant inspection, or very few pass on the first time, if any.
So the sooner they come in, the
Yeah,
better
But
off.
we have to get
with this
word out
idea-
faster,
With
so-
this idea of them inspecting themselves with this checklist, which is the same that I'm using, they should pass every single one of them.
All right,
Thank you.
You
all
are-
right, Manny, thank you. Next up, we have the fire department. Charlie, anything to note as we're breezing through this?
Nothing to note, but I'll take the opportunity to make a public service announcement since you talked about your house being torched. You're all probably familiar with the governor of Pennsylvania, what happened to him. The fire chief down there is crediting closed doors for saving many lives in that fire. So please close your doors when you go to bed at night. It does save lives. It slows the spread of fire, smoke, and poisonous gases.
Very good. Let me just see some. Oh, okay. My work. Okay, very good. You guys have any questions? I'm good. All right, moving.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
The Board of Fire Commissioners
Appointed.
appointed the fire chief and the assistant fire chief at our last meeting.
And they are,
Look at you guys with the power. That used to be our thing.
He gave it to us.
Is this the first year? No.
He shared it now.
You did it last year as well, right?
Probably
'Cause
the year
I don't remember when did we institute the fire commission?
21.
It's longer ago than I thought.
Five.
Congratulations. So who's who? Who's who?
Fire chief and assistant chief trainer.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Appointed and approved the rest of the officers, the
Thank you.
captain and the first and second lieutenant.
Thank you.
okay. Next up, we have the police department. Chief, anything to note?
We put the speed radar sign out, the one that we recently obtained on the grant.
Hmm,
So now we have 3 that are in service, one currently on Hudson, one on Academy, and one on Hudson at the elementary school.
hmm,
And also this year, it's a little different as far as the junior prom goes. Historically, it's always been in May and the senior prom was in June. This year, it's going to be the end of April. I believe they changed it due to testing and such for the juniors. So that'll be April 25th. So I've already started scheduling officers for that. And I'll be in touch with the DPW and put out some information on social media just to advise residents of the increase in vehicular and pedestrian traffic.
So that's for the junior prom, you're saying the
That's
25th,
correct. Yeah,
okay.
the senior one's still in June, but the junior one will be
And,
April 25th.
and we noticed the traffic summons issued quite a few. We're hoping that that's coming off of 218.
Well, 218 just recently opened up,
Yeah.
so,
All right, well, we'll see how that progresses.
a lot of the officers too have been putting in for the Stop DWI grant funding, so as a result, there's been an increase in traffic summonses issued from that as well.
Oh, all right. Interesting.
And you put in for a grant for a patrol vehicle?
Yeah, there's a grant opportunity that came out. Kirsten Gillibrand's office put out feelers for anybody that would like to be considered for grant funding. So every year, if I have an opportunity, I'll try to get a new car or something to add to the department. So that's what I put in for on that grant.
Yeah, the deadline wasn't April 1st, I think, or it
I
was,
think so, yeah, but I put it out when they put out the first notice, which was in March sometime.
Great.
So
great.
I did it like that, yeah.
Yeah, the window seemed pretty short when I saw the
Yeah, and then they
emails
extended
on
it a
it.
couple of days, but I banged it out like the
Great.
day it came out.
Thanks for doing that. Keep on top of that.
Is that
You get yours in?
Very good. Moving on.
supposedly?
Public Works Department. Dave, what do you got for us? Anything to note?
I don't know, Christmas in April.
Yeah,
Coming.
that was unexpected.
No, I'm talking about the spring cleanup.
Oh.
28th. No, I was gonna say, you know how to start your first week as mayor with a
Yes.
snowstorm.
Yes, that and a giant water leak.
Thank you for
Yes.
that, I appreciate it.
Sorry, my car was parked on the street. I just had no idea.
Well, I will say, we were, I wasn't as prepared as I was expecting it to be a little less, than it was. I'm usually a little more prepared. This was the first time I was actually a little behind, but, we were all right. We managed, we, worked for quite a while.
Thank you.
Right.
And believe it or not, on Friday, we had 4 loads of salt delivered on a beautiful day. It came in. It was ordered in February, but it showed up.
Just in
That's
time.
nice.
All right.
And bulk pickup, you
Bulk
said.
pickup,
End of-
yeah.
April 28th. We have that on the schedule, yeah.
And the yard waste resumed on the April 7th.
All right. Okay. Moving on to the water department. Mike, what do you got for us?
Just a couple notes. So we are hydrant flushing in the town and village the rest of this month. Currently working in the town this week. And our monthly production for March increased by about 80,000 gallons a day over last year. So I'm not exactly sure if that's all usage or if there's some leaks out there we gotta kind of locate.
So it's 80,000 per day?
Per day, yeah.
More over last year.
Yeah. And as the chief did, I also applied for that grant from Kristen Gillibrand. We applied for a hydro excavating truck to help us with our lead line replacement project.
Isn't that the one that we've rented out at one time for like 90 days or 30 days, Mike, and it worked out pretty well?
It does. They run between $450,000 to $600,000, and it's a big expense for it to sit in your yard the majority of the days. So if you can rent one for $11,000, $12,000 for the month, and stack up all your work for that
Right.
That's good. Otherwise, if you're hiring a contractor, it's $4,600 per day.
Yes.
So I think that grant, it's a good opportunity to apply for something that you normally wouldn't be spending your own.
So you're gonna try to do the same thing this year, stacking them up so we can rent it out and use it one more.
Probably in the fall, because we have to identify still 1,600 water service lines whether they're lead or not.
The lead lines.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 10 years, actually around 9.5 now, to identify and remove any that are out there.
All right. Okay, and Mike, if anyone hasn't seen the email, just for the public to know, can you just tell them about the water main break that occurred 45 minutes after I took it took office?
Took the oath.
Sure. So we experienced a large water main break on Holloran Road last Monday. I believe that was April 7th, while we were doing our spring flushing schedule. That water leak ended up running at about 3,200 gallons a minute. It consumed 280,000 gallons of water within an hour and 15 minutes. And to put that in perspective, our storage tank, generally we keep that around 31 to 36 feet of water in it. Each foot is 15,000 gallons. At the time the break occurred, it was sitting at 31 feet. By the time we got it controlled and shut down an hour and 15 minutes later, it had dropped down to 12 feet.
That's the storage tank on Maple.
On Maple Road, yes.
So it drained out through Halloran Road.
Yes. Well, it also supplied the rest of the system during that time, because
Okay,
understand
right.
that we
Whatever
were
we were using.
we were flowing our wells
Mhm.
at that time, and that's out on that end of the system.
Mhm.
So that was eating up a lot of that. We were flowing our wells at 1,100 gallons a minute. So typically it's 700 gallons a minute for the wells.
Mhm. And you were flowing the wells, or in the course of business, to load the tank, to fill the tank, or you were
don't-
doing it to prevent
we flow the wells, daily at 700 gallons a minute.
Right,
Because of that leak, we increased it to 1,100
Got it.
gallons a minute, and we still weren't keeping up
Wow.
with it. If the tank had dropped down to 4 feet, we probably would have lost all the water up on the mountain,
Mhm.
and then we probably would have started to lose some around here.
Do we know what might have started the leak?
Yeah, well, we were doing fire flow testing, we don't have any records of what the fire hydrants will actually flow. Which according to NFPA and probably some building code standards, you're supposed to have records of what you can produce in case of a large scale fire. That line there, you're on a dead end line. It's where the water main drops down underneath the thruway and goes over to the high school. What we're thinking is, as we opened up that hydrant, we pulled the water back from the high school, and we created an air pocket in the water main, and that found the high point in the main, and it just ruptured.
That's isn't it the word a water hammer? What is that?
Similar. That's a water hammer is if you open or close the fire hydrant too quickly.
Huh.
That wasn't the case here. Air got introduced into the main, and that air's got to go somewhere, and typically goes to the high point. And at that location, the water main's 12.5 feet deep in the ground there,
Yeah, sure.
and it's transitioning from two different elevations. So that was the high point at that point.
But you got it fixed quick. I
We
know you
did.
hired Nanini Callahan.
We had to bring in a larger machine because our machine only reached down 12.5 feet, so we were at our maximum reach. So they brought in a bigger machine.
All right. Well, we got it repaired right away, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any additional questions for Mike? All right, moving on. The New Windsor Emergency Medical Services, obviously Mike Biggs not here.
Was the West Point Boy Scout Jamboree, was that April or was it March?
That would have been this past weekend.
It was,
so
so
April.
it was April. So
Yeah.
it's April, okay.
It was in Anthony Lane, wasn't it?
No, it's out at Kent, Lake Frederick.
Yeah,
It's on West Point.
my son was supposed to be there, but it was freezing. So we didn't go, but I was wondering how that was.
All right. All right, we
This
knocked.
report's slightly different than usual, right?
Yeah, usually
Format
has a little
change.
bit more, usually has more detail. He goes into well, let's see. Yeah, he goes into the personnel. Yeah. Respond to 12 on calls.
It's been the mental health unit.
Yeah, I saw that.
Weekend, that's great.
Cyber incident. And I see the ECAS grant is moving along and being processed, which was hung up for a long time, so that's good. It's $100,000. And the mental health unit has started in Cornwall and responded. It's just 12 calls. It's pretty cool.
All right, moving on to other business. First thing up is the Bannerman Island request. So Bannerman Island's looking for volunteers to go out to the island on Saturday, May 3rd. They're gonna have volunteers there, and they're looking to get 20 day passes. And they're looking for us to waive the fee for the volunteers who are going out to the island. Your thoughts?
I'm good with it.
I am too.
Okay, good. That made it very easy. So that being said, then Chief on May 3rd, well, you know what, we could just give them the day, maybe we just give them the day passes. That's all we really need to do. All right. I'll have Doris provide them the day passes. Now, you know what, we'll pass this. It doesn't need to be done today, so we'll pass this by resolution next week. Okay.
And they're not looking for passes on the Wednesdays. It says we have
No.
island projects on Wednesdays. The garden crew works, but they have some accommodation already, right?
I believe so, but I know this was specifically just for
that.
May 3rd, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll tee that up for April 21st meeting. Next up, the wood milling. Wait, look, I got two things going on. Wood milling, okay. We've already addressed that. That's good to go. Deke did that. The SKA Capital Reserve request and budget line. So we wanted to discuss that. Where do I have my stuff on that? So Megan, you gave me, okay, so going back a couple of months ago, we discussed having a capital improvement line for the fire department. I'm gonna recite some facts and you can correct me if I'm wrong. One, currently we have a capital improvement line that has 3 entities within the line. One is PD, police department, fire department, and DPW. We started that back in 2015 when Mark and I introduced it, and right now it's got 270,000. 90,000 is earmarked for each one. That's the first thing. The second thing is we were entertaining putting 500,000 of money into a capital improvement account. With the idea that we have an impending purchase, it's 1.2 million, Charlie, by December 2026.
Yes.
Okay. So I spoke with Joe McKay. Megan reached out to Justin at Nugent and Housler, right? So here's one is we're looking to put the money aside. What I'm thinking is I'm vacillating between $400,000 and $500,000. What I don't want to do is I don't want to put it in a capital improvement line where we can't, once it goes into a capital improvement line, we cannot use it for anything else. By taking 400,000 out of the current budget, our Office of State Controller percentage will drop down to 24%.
That's correct.
So that gives us a little bit of a cushion for other stuff that's going to come up. Meaning this, we have the building, we have to do the repairs to the building once we get the specs from. We haven't got anything from Pingarno and Deutsch, right, Dave? We have.
No, we haven't got
We
it
have
yet.
not. Okay. I am,
He's putting together a bid specification.
right. So I'm concerned about that. Is there anything else that I need to point out?
So,
In regards to the numbers, Megan, hold on. Let me just see. 2 point, then we go down. Oh, here's one of the outliers, and that is what we're not including is PVA contract, which will most likely be passed in the next 2 weeks. And it didn't take into account our CSEA contract,
or
not the total amount.
not the total amount.
Right. So that's why I'm concerned about additional expenditures. So the bottom line is what I'm looking at is putting 400,000. I'm looking at putting 400,000 aside. We set up a line. We can do it one or two ways. And that is we set up a fire department line. We put the 400,000 into it. Or, yes.
We branch off from general within NICLAS and invest 400,000, whatever you decide on, addition into NICLAS and make money off of it sitting there.
Yes.
So whether you break a line off from general just in our, regular accounts, or you break a line off from general within NICLAS, if it's gonna sit there, you might as well make what you can on it.
And that's what if we can make some extra money off of it and invest it in the night class account. That way, if we put 400,000 aside, then you got 490. Because you have 90 sitting, we have 90 sitting in right now already in the capital improvement account.
So this, when we presented it to you, it was for the apparatus replacement plan going 40 years forward.
Yes.
And then you were
Yeah.
concerned about getting locked in and something came up with the building and some other something came up,
Well,
and that's, I think, where we left it.
Yes, and that's why what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to get locked in to just using it for the apparatus. The idea is at the end of the budget year, if it looks like we're in pretty good stead, we drop another 100,000 into the line.
Or whatever.
Whatever number we can come up with. I'm concerned about PVA, CSEA. The other thing I'm concerned about is, Dave and I were talking about this, is it looks like the state is not implementing the purchase of EV vehicles. So that the infrastructure to put these EV vehicles, particularly the medium and heavy duty ones, the infrastructure to put it down in DPW is going to cost quite a bit. And the purchase of these vehicles will cost, not that we have to purchase it now, but
We're gonna be required to when they pass them.
correct, but it's
And that
only
includes
when,
fire trucks.
Yes,
yes, yeah.
that aren't currently.
Oh, I
ordered.
thought it didn't include fire
No, that
trucks.
aren't currently ordered.
No,
So after this, but if you don't have them ordered, the price is
yes,
gonna go up too.
yeah, so those are the things we're staring down. And the EV, it looks like they're pushing it out to 2027. I think, Dave, that's the proposed legislation that I saw. It hasn't been passed yet. It might actually be part of the whole budget reconciliation or the budget plan from Governor Hochul. So your thoughts? I'm thinking of 400,000. Megan, excuse me. I get the name wrong all the time. Megan. Yes. Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What your thoughts?
We were at 58% unallocated fund balance last year, right?
Yeah, 58 or 54, I can't, off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure, but yes, last year in the 50s.
And we've judiciously, put some of that into this year's budget, and the comptroller's office says 10% is healthy, right? Is that the number?
20%.
20%.
20% is healthy.
I'd be nervous about getting down to 24% locked up.
But it's not. That's the thing. It's not
Right.
locked.
If we put it in
long as
NICLAS
it's
as a
not.
separate account. Right. So that would mean we don't create a budget line for it. We
No,
just,
we
can.
create a
just-
budget line. We just don't.
break a line off from
Yeah.
general
Just don't
because
put it
it's
in your
general
account.
money, so it's not
It's-
assigned.
Just don't put it
It's
into a capital
earmarked towards
reserve.
there. Once you make it a capital
But it's not its
improvement,
own
you have
account that's separately so once it's a capital account, it is locked up.
Once
Yeah,
the
but we're not
capital
calling it a
reserve-
capital
Okay,
account.
so
Yeah,
it'd be
we're
a
just-
capital reserve fund for the fire department.
It's just
once
in the
a,
budget.
capital
I don't even
reserve
want to
is
use the word
assigned,
capital in it.
we'll
It's
say
just gonna
capital.
be a line for the fire department where we're earmarking the
Additional
money.
equipment.
Because at the end of the day, what we're doing is this, is that by next year, when we go to purchase this, we're gonna bond this out. Because I'm not having taxpayers, well, we shouldn't have taxpayers paying for this entire,
Yeah,
the
right up front.
total cost of this vehicle now. We've got to bond that out for years, so everyone gets to pay for it to a certain extent. So no, it won't get locked up in a capital account. It's a separate line. I would suggest we put it in a night class because we're getting a little bit over 4.1%. And God forbid things went sideways and we needed to draw some of it back,
We could.
we can. It's not the intent. The intent is to continue just putting money aside for it, much like we're gonna probably have to do for the DPW vehicles down the line.
At some point.
Yes. Questions?
Doesn't sound like you're putting it aside for fire truck. It sounds like you're just,
Putting it aside for fire trucks.
but you can use it for
You
anything you want.
I want to know that we can be able to pull it out. Correct, Charlie. But we're earmarking it for the fire trucks. The bottom line is we know we have to pay for this. We ordered it. So we're putting it to the side.
You ordered the one
Right.
rig.
Yes.
The plan looks sound to me too, going forward for the years, the columns. Look nice and all that stuff. And you have an interest rate in there.
Board members and fire chiefs that the money is there, because it's.
I
It's
get it.
not gonna cover the cost of any one machine. All of them will have to still be bonded.
No, I get that. And the problem is like, I get it. I know the whole plan. I agree with it. But I also have to be cognizant of the fact that that's not the only plan that's going on.
Mhm.
I have his plan. We've got the building, there's a number of things. So we're putting it aside for this. It will be used to purchase this vehicle, the first one up. The next one up is supposed to be, tell me the date the next one up is supposed to be purchased?
Next year.
See, that's like, look.
And if you
The-
put it off, it's gonna have to be an EV.
Well, we'll see about that.
But and that's the tower
Well,
ladder.
but the reality is,
Tower ladder.
yeah, I mean,
Nice and quiet.
yeah. And oh, by the way, that all depends too, because you know what, that's teed up for the year after. Let's just say we put $500,000 down, so we're bonding out for $700,000, and the next year, the ladder tower vehicle, how much? Close to two. You're
And it's gonna
talking,
take 4 years to get.
right,
So you may be ordering it next year. You won't see it until 2030.
right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like the bomb that happens because that's gonna be around the same time. We're probably gonna replace some vehicles that have to be EV vehicles too. So I get what you're saying, but right now I'm looking at the 1.2 for next year, and let's see how this works out. The PBA contract and the CSEA contract, we'll see how this works out for the year. And like I said, if we have a pretty healthy fund balance again, we dump some more in. And look, I can also do it this way. I mean, we can do it this way, and that is, you know what? Out of the 400,000 I'm going to put aside, I'll put another 100,000 as part of the 400. 100,000 we can put into the capital improvement line. That's if you guys agree. So your capital improvement line is now 190, and we've got 300,000 in the night class account. So
Earmark
so
a
there's more
percentage
being
so
earmarked.
that it's
Correct.
which if the expense is in a well, right. It just means if the expense comes up, we have to bond more if we don't have the other money available for whatever reason.
Yes.
But we're putting aside that's
More.
That's actually appeals to me.
I
It's a
don't
little
have
more cautious approach.
So you agree with it? We take out of the 400, we put 100 into the existing capital improvement account earmarked for fire department.
You
The
want to
remaining
say 110, so it's an even 200.
You could do that, make it 110, yes.
And I would just to further complicate it, recognizing that we're getting a decent return out of NICLAS, I am, as with the water department and as with our initial investment, I'm hesitant to put more than a certain percentage of money into it just because it's not FDIC insured and it's, seems to be performing
Yes.
okay. We only have up till March and there were some fluctuations in April that I'd be curious to see what that effect was.
Yeah.
So I'm always hesitant to put too many eggs in that basket, even though I recognize the value and we're getting good interest
So we
return
would
on
put
it.
the 300,000
In the
night
night class, and the other 110 is gonna go into the capital improvement line, which is locked down.
Well, the complication I was suggesting was that a portion of that 300,000
Yes.
in night class and the other held in our orange savings, that would be my
Well,
thought.
it's already, the capital improvement line is already in Orange County, correct?
Yeah, the capital reserve.
The capital reserve that has fire
He's
department,
talking
police
about
department.
the
No.
300.
Yeah,
1,000
you're talking
that was
about
gonna be in
splitting
our
the
general.
300,000, putting 150 into NICLAS, keeping the other 150 in our regular account.
Something like that,
Why
Well-
can't you put it all in the night class?
just because it's a, I mean,
Are you
I'm not
I don't
gonna
have a-
overstate it, but it's a riskier
lose money?
investment. Well, if the stock market drops precipitously, yeah. I'm sure we
Keeping the
I'm sure we lost
300
money
in night class.
last week and
I don't
then
think so.
regained a percentage of it.
I don't
Well-
think you lose money in that.
Isn't it like a guaranteed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Nothing's guaranteed, but
No, but it's not, I mean,
Death and
it's
taxes.
had good past performance is no guarantee of future success. And they've had good
Sounds like a
success.
commercial.
The guy said, the gentleman from NICLAS said that none of his, how did he put it? I think he said none of his clients lost money during the 2008 crash, which was gratifying to hear and definitely made me feel better about putting it in. But that's the point of doing a third. That was my reasoning around it.
well, let's, this will be on for next week when Dave gets here. So I think at least at this point, we're in agreement that it's gonna be 400,000. That's the first thing.
And is that the
'Cause
first
that'll-
tranche from the plan or was it higher than that?
No, we had talked about $500,000, but I forgot that we already had
The
90,000
Okay.
in the other account.
All right. That works for me.
We presented options, right?
Uh,
Depending on,
The two schedules were 500,000 and 900,000.
Mm.
I wasn't aware of
Yes.
that year-end at all.
I completely forgot about it. We started it years ago when we were putting a little bit in here and there when we could. So, all right, we'll finish it out for next week, just determine how we're gonna invest it. One option is putting 110 into the capital improvement line, then locks down 200,000 for them, and then the remainder goes into whatever we determine, a NICLAS account or a combination thereof with the Orange County account. So we'll leave that for next Monday night. We'll have Dave's input too. All right?
Mr. Mayor, just by way of, whoever makes the agenda, whether they went back to SKFE, which is incorrect, it's the Cornwall and Hudson Fire Department.
Yes.
Divert back, that'd be great, thank you.
We just put COHFD?
There you go.
All right.
I think what it was.
Yeah, all right. Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Rick, for that. Okay, so done with that. The next one I took off, removed from the agenda, the the Cornwall and Hudson Fire
COHFD.
Department room rental. We're good to go with that. Yes. Okay, so we're good with that. Water rate study proposal. Mike, can you give us a little,
Yep.
info on this?
So one of the things that our joint water committee with the town looked into was the water rate structure. Our water rate structure is very antiquated, doesn't take into account different classes within the community in terms of commercial versus residential, in-district, out-of-district, commercial, residential, government entities. It does not take into account a minimum fee. So one of the things that we discussed was doing a rate study that would kind of put us in line with the industry standards. So last year I reached out it's difficult to find companies that specialize in this. So I was able to find one. It's called Reptilis. They do financial planning for municipalities. They did a rate study for the city of Newburgh a couple of years ago that they were quite happy with. They've done rate studies for, I think it's the city of Endicott or the village of Endicott, I'm not sure. One of them where they share, one of the municipalities owns the system, but they provide service to 2 municipalities, and they create a rate structure so that it's a fair rate structure for both municipalities. They broke it down into different facets of how much it would cost. The total cost is to do a one-time rate study is $49,000. It's quite expensive, but they broke it down. If you look on I think it's page 9, they broke it down. So if you didn't want to do all of it, you didn't have to. You could do just a study to show you how to do a revenue requirement forecast and a financial plan. And then if you wanted to, you can include a cost of service evaluation. You know, what it costs to serve each of the properties in the town and village. And then they would do a rate analysis of our existing system, rate structure, and provide recommendations. Again, that's a one-time rate analysis. So you set up your rate structure now, and then in 5-10 years, you know, you're going to probably want to do this again, you know, to make sure that you're increasing them in a manner to cover your expenses. There's another option out there from Waterworth. They are a software company. It's created, the company was created by a couple gentlemen that used to do rate studies in this manner that Reptilis does, but they created a proprietary software where you can do real-time rate analysis and make those incremental changes each year. You don't have the upfront cost or the one-time cost of $49,000, but you do have an annual cost of around $6,700. And then what you do is each year you put your budget, your operation and maintenance costs into it. You plug it into the software, and depending on what your rate structure is, the software will develop your increases for you to cover your expenses. You can also put your capital improvement in there. We have a meeting this coming Thursday at 2:00 via Teams with our water committee to discuss this, to see what they think. The hope is that we would come back to this board to make a recommendation. Briefly, I spoke with one of the committee members, Eric Denega, and his thought is, well, you know what, you may have to do both. But first, the big one, to set it, and then use the software to maintain it.
Yeah, that's what was my question, because in regards to Waterworth, they're really not doing a cost of service evaluation or rate analysis. They're plugging in our numbers.
Correct.
But they have, it's the same inputs, right, into both? Their system supposedly would take in all of the data that we would provide.
Correct. And from what I gather from speaking with the Reptilis company, they're a lot more in depth. You know, they have the more of a hands-on approach of, they'll ask you, hey, I need this data from you, I need that data from you. Whereas Waterworth, they're gonna rely on whatever data you give them. They may not ask you specifically for different data.
And they're not, Mike, with Reptilis, it's when the water committee was meeting about this, we were also talking about the different ways that we can bill.
Correct.
So Waterworth won't do that, right?
I'm sorry.
Meaning, remember we were discussing, okay.
Talking about the minimum charge.
The minimum charge, that sort of thing.
Waterworth will do that, but we have to tell them. Whereas Reptilis, they will come up with the manner in which to do it.
All right, okay.
You know, because what they look at is, hey, where's the majority of your infrastructure? It's in the town of Cornwall. Okay.
Yes.
So the village is responsible for, say, 64% of the water mains are in the town of Cornwall. So that rate might be a little bit higher than the
Mhm.
village because the town has the 64% of the infrastructure.
Right, and it's not gonna necessarily be, it could be, as you suggest, as the committee discussed, it could be based on a minimum fee for a certain amount of water.
Correct.
Everyone pays the base fee,
Correct.
and then you go from there. Then it's a graduated
Depending on your
scale.
size of meter, you know, a minimum for say, I don't know, a person, a household, the minimum fee might be, for just sake of argument, $30 for a residential meter. But when you go to a commercial establishment that has an 8-inch meter, it may be considerably higher. Because the theory behind that is whether we produce 1,000 gallons of water a day or 1,000,000 gallons of water a day, we still have certain expenses we have to meet, personnel costs, infrastructure maintenance and whatnot. So if you're relying strictly on water rates to meet those basic needs, your income's gonna fluctuate each year. So if you have your minimum, you can at least budget a definite number each year.
Mhm. All right.
As Waterworth does claim that they develop a cost of service model or a cost of service analysis but again, it's the data you put in, and they're not necessarily assigning a consultant who's gonna sit there and walk you through and like,
analyze it.
and look
You
through
know,
your files
Reptilis
for you.
actually has financial analysts.
Right.
Like I said, Newberg used them. I was shocked at the price originally, but
It's pretty in depth.
yeah, exactly. It includes presentations, it includes meetings, you know.
I mean, they do claim here, Waterworth, I mean, it's such a difference in cost
Yeah.
that I'm curious about it because, you know, they do claim that they give you expert advice with financial modeling, cost of service analysis, infrastructure analysis, and rate design. And they have unlimited one-to-one coaching with all the tools that are included in the software. Have you seen it, like a demo? Or is it-
Very little of it, but I have seen some.
Are there any municipalities that you've spoken to, Mike, that
Not
have
around
used this?
here. No, they're not necessarily in the Northeast that use. They're more out in the Midwest.
I thought there was another. These are the only two. Was there another?
Those are the only two I've been able to find.
Gotcha. Understood.
So other municipalities around near us don't use any?
I don't know how they develop their water rates. I'm thinking it's probably very similar to how we've done it over the years.
Excel.
You know, you have your costs.
Do them?
Yeah.
Hey, we're in the hole, $100,000. We got increased water rates. Okay, how much is it going to take to recover those costs?
Mhm.
You know, there's no factual pattern as to what goes into creating those rates. You know, I mean, for longest time, the water rate difference was because of 80%, but nobody knew why it was
Yeah,
80%.
Okay. Well, then I know that the meeting's this Thursday, so wanted to update us. Yeah,
Yeah.
update us for next week, Mike, on that.
And that's reconvening the whole
Yeah,
committee that was.
Yeah.
yeah, and what I'm just gonna, at that meeting, I'm hoping everybody's looked at it. And I'm hoping to just try and schedule presentations from each of these with the committee. And when I have those dates, I'll be more than happy to share it with the board and you guys can jump in.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Mike.
Yeah.
Moving on, sticking on water. So Mike called me, and I'll let you give all the details. Mike called me back on the 10th, and the town of Blooming Grove, was looking to purchase some water on an emergency basis. They have determined they have quite a few leaks, like what we used to have. They were purchasing their water from another municipality, and that is not going as well as they thought it would.
Yes.
So they reached out to Mike to see if they could purchase some water. We authorized water department to sell them the water. It was at our normal rate for other municipalities and other entities is $21.80 per 1,000 gallons. Town of Blooming Grove agreed to $22 when we sold it to them. How many gallons they got? 6,000
They're
gallons.
getting 6,000 gallons a truckload.
Okay. So Mike, you can take it away from there, and
So the town of Blooming Grove, they have 4 small water districts. To put it in perspective, each water district has their own wells. One of them produces 5 gallons of water a minute. The other, their highest producing well, produces 100 gallons a minute. Our 2 wells each will produce 700 gallons a minute. So you can see where water is a high commodity for them. In this one district, they have a single leak that they figure is running at 22 gallons a minute. It's on a private water line that they're working with the property owner to get fixed, but that 22 gallons a minute is giving them severe water shortages. So the superintendent over there, Wayne Kirkpatrick, had reached out to Dave here for my contact information, and we spoke last Friday. I informed Mayor Kane about it, and he had given me the go-ahead. Since they've been hooked up to us, on Friday they picked up 2 loads. On Sunday they picked up 4 or 5 loads, and today they did 5 loads. So that's about 30,000 gallons a day at the rate of $22 per 1,000.
And
How
that's
many
it.
gallons per day did you say?
About 30,000. Now, if there's an interest in maintaining this relationship after the emergency is satisfied, long term, they would be open to that, but we'd have to enter into an IMA. And what they said to me was typically on an annual basis, they would truck in between 100 and 200,000 gallons of water a year to cover them while they're flushing fire hydrants and other normal maintenance activities. On a bad year, it's about 500,000.
Is that, why is it so much less than our usage? Just population? I mean, what?
Yeah, they only serve a couple hundred people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it one particular, you said there's 4 water districts. Is
Yeah.
it just one of the districts that's the issue, or?
No, they have problems in all of them. It's just right now it's in this one district.
Okay.
You know, we have a 500,000 gallon water tank. Their biggest water tank is 100,000 gallons.
Right.
You know, so when you're producing, 5 gallons a minute, 100 gallons a minute, it's very difficult to maintain your adequate storage levels. And again, I was reading their annual water quality report. One of the wells is 680 feet in the ground.
Wow.
So they're having a rough time with it out there.
So I think it's an excellent opportunity, since we have so much excess water, to enter into an IMA with the town. I mean, it helps them and it helps us. We're selling extra water that we have an abundance of. And it won't even, based on 100 to say 200,000 per year or 500,000, we have
That's
much
less than
it's
that's what we
Correct.
produce. So,
Correct. And yeah, they help Dave a lot with his equipment.
Okay.
It's part of the mutual aid sharing stuff.
I think they were there for we borrowed their thing for the demolition of the kennels, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it Blooming Grove?
I found out that
was
they
there?
have a hydrovac truck that he's offered up
There you go.
whenever we'd like it. But I would say this, if we are gonna do something long term,
Yeah.
Right now we have this filling station set up in a residential neighborhood. It's not something we would want to do long term.
Yeah.
Because, it's not nice to have tractor trailers going around. We would have to purchase and install a filling station. And if you do that, then maybe that opens you up to selling water to bulk haulers, that fill swimming pools and whatnot,
I think it's an excellent opportunity.
It sounds like very small demand, and
Yes.
If they have us as a water supply, do they have to then? It's only for the aqueduct that you have to show sufficient backup supply, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's not an
Yeah,
issue.
and we have more than enough backup for the aqueduct.
Right. Yeah, for ourselves. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got it.
And the only requirement that we have is through our reporting with the New York State Health Department, we have to on our monthly operational reports, we have to inform them how much water we sell. The onus is on Blooming Grove to report it. They would also have to report it in their annual water quality reports and whatnot.
So I think we should put this up for next week and authorize Joe to put together an IMA between the 2 municipalities.
I had sent out an email on Friday.
You did.
Did you get it? Because apparently they didn't get it, so I have to resend it tomorrow.
got it.
I believe I did, yes. I just didn't print it out. I'm big on printing everything out, so. I didn't bring it with me, but I did mention it to Joe when I was speaking to him, so. All right, so we'll tee that up for Monday night, and so we can get Joe to put that together. I think it's one, I didn't realize about the hydrovac and how much they also help out DPW, so I think it's a very good opportunity. And like you said too, yeah, low risk, and how much would the filling station that?
I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
looked into it. Wallkill has a pretty robust. It's called their construction water sales. Their project. I guess they
Mhm.
sell to a lot. TAM uses them. Different bulk haulers use them. So it's an opportunity.
Yep. All right.
And when it's a bulk hauler, you don't have to worry about shutting them down, as opposed to a municipality.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Even if they're selling to a municipality?
That's the onus is on them.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Moving on to refund policy for reservation rentals. So Doris advised me that we've had at least one, maybe two reservations for, I think one of them was the pavilion, or am I getting it?
Nope,
The
pavilion,
pavilion. And they backed out of it
due to weather.
due to weather. So the question is do we refund or a portion thereof their rental fee?
For the pavilion, the waterproof pavilion?
I don't know, you know what, that's why I'm not sure it was the pavilion.
No, it was the
The gazebo, it was the gazebo, yes, it was the
100%
gazebo, yes,
gazebo.
yes, yeah, that's why, yes, it was. Cause I thought the same thing first, the same thing too. So the question is,
We don't have a policy on it already? We haven't done that in the past, or?
no,
Yeah, interesting.
So we refunded,
no,
The
we
entire-
we haven't refunded anything, she hasn't,
What was the
is that
rental for?
true? No, I think she
Some-
said, she
No, I
said
mean,
she
what
To use it for an
refunded.
event?
Yeah.
What was the event?
birthday party, it was a
She
birthday
said she
party.
refunded it.
Oh, she did, that I didn't know.
Was it the 80th birthday? Somebody's 80th? Something like that?
I
I don't
No,
know.
that's in the pavilion.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay, so she did.
Good.
So the question is what do you think, your thoughts on,
How far in advance was the cancellation? I mean, it's not,
yeah,
It was,
we're not
Day.
leaving
Yeah,
a
it was
like
huge
a
amount
day.
of money.
24 hours.
look,
And
we
what
can
was the-
either,
I mean-
I forget the fee. What's the fee?
For the gazebo, I think it's $200,
Yeah.
$250. I think they
believe
were a
it's somewhere
village
around that.
resident.
I mean, should
Nobody
there be
nobody
a-
else called to reserve the
That's-
gazebo on that day.
that was
right?
my first question, and I believe Doris told me no.
But don't we know that other municipalities just have a no refund policy and?
Well, that's what we're discussing here, so I can go with a no refund, I can go with, a minimum of
Yeah.
half, you can get back half, I mean, we put time into it,
Yeah,
reviewing it,
Yeah,
processing.
I'd say we should keep a percentage, but it doesn't, and at a low, well, I mean,
Because
And
you don't
now,
want, you don't want things to be canceled just
That's-
haphazardly.
right, people putting their foot on a
know.
thing 6 months in
right,
advance,
sitting
not
on it,
knowing,
that's,
yeah,
that
yeah,
is, yeah, you want some skin in the game,
yeah,
so,
exactly.
for the $200, I'm like $50, but that's too little.
And if we want to be complicated, we could do a sliding scale that the closer you get to the event
Yeah,
and then
it's
cancel
also-
it, you're
that's
the higher.
that's also it too. Or we can just say straight out, no refund.
I don't know. That seems a little harsh. Somebody breaks,
Yes.
breaks their leg and can't do the dance party.
Well, no, I get
Knock
that.
on wood.
I get that. I'm agnostic
Yeah,
to it.
kind of also.
I can go anyway. What do you think? I mean, if you go a quarter of
I
the
mean,
fee,
how
it's
much
too
are we
low.
talking? It's 200 for the gazebo.
Mm-hmm.
What is it for the pavilion?
I don't know
It's
the numbers.
more.
I know it's more.
I think it's 500 for a village resident, I think.
I think so, yeah, and then.
And 1,000 beyond that.
On each farm, I mean, you have.
I mean, I think,
Well, somebody cancels a wedding, And depending on what have we put into it, if, you know, big cost is if there was competing reservation and we eat that money, that wouldn't have canceled.
Right.
I feel like half on a trial basis makes sense.
I have no problem with
Cancellations
I could concur
50%.
with half.
it. Yeah,
Thinking about Dave, if Dave were here.
yes.
We'd all end up on half.
All right, so,
I'm channeling Dave.
yes. All right, so we'll
He
put
would
this
say,
on for
Prego,
next
whatever he would
week.
say. Yeah.
Talk to Dave about it.
Think about it a little bit more.
One half refund, yeah.
So, you know, in the building department, we take 25% when they withdraw a permit.
When they withdraw a permit.
Well,
But
that's
But it's a little different because I'm not looking to go do work at your house. so
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
not
okay,
it's not a
yeah.
finite resource.
Yeah.
Process it, they just say, look,
Yeah,
we don't want it, but we already processed the
Yes.
application, we keep 25%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
for
then
us
it-
though, it's also taking it off the market
Yes.
because it's reserved.
particularly
so,
the pavilion too, because that's a wanted,
yeah, it's a nice
I mean, I hate
property.
being too complicated, but it does make sense to change it as you get closer to the date.
Yeah.
To change the fee,
yeah,
Change the fee or the
fee.
refund?
no, the refund. of-
Percentage, right.
Yeah.
Right, if you canceled the day before, you would, maybe there's no refund. You know, you have to cancel within 48 hours, and if you do, it's only, you know, you get 25% back or something like that, like.
You gotta think about it.
yeah.
Got
All
a
right.
spreadsheet, you got a spreadsheet?
Yeah,
Put one
We're gonna
together.
need a spreadsheet, Meg.
Alrighty.
all right.
Chasing us out of there, chief, when
Yeah.
the hurricane comes. We're having that party.
Right.
That pavilion, that's an
Retain-
Amish-built pavilion.
Let's move on
They
to
can
their,
take it.
we already blew through the 8:15, you guys. were-
We were keeping track, we knew.
All right. All right, the retaining wall, Black Rock water treatment plant, Mike.
Yeah, so we have a slope that's adjacent to our clear well, and right now there's no retaining wall there. And with the rainstorms and whatnot going on, we want to reinforce that. So we're looking to build a retaining wall there as a mafia block. And then I think the cost of the material is going to be in the neighborhood of $15,000. And just looking at the next meeting, as long as I have all the price quotes in hand by next Monday, get authorization to purchase the material.
All right. And that one being said, why don't you just jump into the Maple Road monitoring equipment, because that's another purchase.
Yeah, so Maple Road, we monitor the water quality of the storage tank on a daily basis as part of our reporting to the health department. What we're looking to do is just put some online monitoring equipment up there so we can continuously monitor the chlorine content, the turbidity, and the pH and temperature of the water. The equipment, there's 2 analyzers. The cost total is around $11,000. I recently got sole source letters for both of those manufacturers. The distributor for each of those is the only one allowed to sell that equipment in this portion of New York State. So I can't get competing quotes from any other distributor.
Okay.
And I'll put that together and send it out to everybody this week, so you guys have that as well as Joe, and so Megan has it for her record.
So this online monitoring, do we, right now, what type of monitoring do we?
We go up once a day and we take a manual reading of all that.
Oh, all right.
This
okay.
would give us 24-hour day, 7 days a week monitoring.
And then produces a report on it.
Yeah, and it's similar to just like we have with the filtration plants. If we notice a problem, the alarm goes off and notifies us.
Great. Okay. And what were you thinking of the price on that? Mike?
Around $11,000. And if we ever go to where we don't have anybody working, that can still count as one of our required sampling stations to meet the health department requirements.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll tee that up for the 21st also, both of those. All right, moving on. Proposed resolution regarding the library funding. Bill, you introduced this. You sent me an email about it. Why don't you tell the group
Sure. There's a federal agency called the Institute for Museum and Library Services that looks like it's in the process of being shut down. And the way that affects, I'm told, and this is basically, I'm friends with the Mid-Hudson Library director on Facebook, and I saw her post about it, and then reached out to her. The way they provide they provide funding to the states. And and New York State in particular uses that money to fund its regional library systems. So there's our libraries in the Ramapo Catskill Library System. The Mid-Hudson Library System is north of us, and Rhinebeck and up in that area, and on both sides of the river. So the RCLS, the Ramapo Catskill Library System, is the organization that does like interlibrary loan. They buy bulk licenses for the database systems that people use that the library provides for free, all these different things. It's not like our local library would be defunded, but they rely hugely on the library system for a lot of what is in the library. So this resolution, she had said that the town of Hillsdale passed a resolution. So I looked at theirs and I basically just copied, pasted, and adapted it and sent it to the mayor, just to say, and what the resolution is the board would be affirming that we believe the library should be funded and the system should be funded, and that we would ask our federal representatives to protect the funding at the federal level, but probably more applicable, ask our state representatives to make sure that the state budget reflects it in the event that it is lost at the federal level. So I think it looks like it's going away at the federal level, although sometimes these things are in flux. So it could potentially be some version of it might still be there. But in either case, it's a request of the board to support the library and say, we think this funding is important and we would push for it to be included in the state, from the state. Don't ask me how much.
From what I understand, this is already in litigation between this. The state is already there.
Yeah.
So when did Hillsdale?
I think they passed it like within the past couple of weeks as a resolution.
Because I just don't understand why we would do it if it's already in the midst of.
Well,
litigation.
it's essentially putting what do they call it in law? An amicus brief. Like we're basically saying we recognize the value of this and think that we should protect it. And sort of doing a scenario. I mean, the wording, I don't have it in front of me. Do you happen to have the text of what I sent?
Yeah.
I mean, it basically says, the resolution itself is, the village board expresses its strong support for the library and the essential services, urges the U.S. Congress, including Schumer, Gillibrand, Bryan, to take immediate action to protect the funding guarantees, calls upon New York State leadership, including all of our reps, to prioritize state level funding for the Division of Library to mitigate potential federal funding losses, and encourages Cornwall residents to advocate for library funding, and directs the village clerk to send copies of the resolution to the people who were named. So it might well be in litigation, and I haven't followed it, so I don't know, but it's basically offering our opinion that it should be protected.
Let me interrupt you.
No, go ahead. You go. I'll go after
My
you, John.
first thought is that this is a federal issue. This is a topic that is not exactly on our to-do list in our local government. It makes me nervous. Like if we're going to put our ideas and thoughts out there about this issue, what is to stop us about another issue that comes down the pike? I mean, it makes me nervous. I don't know that I feel comfortable having to have conversations about federal anything
I understand
right
what
now.
you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like when we keep things in our own local municipality, we're talking about things that we can all agree on and shoot out ideas on, and to take a step out makes me nervous.
Understood. It's an important source of funding that affects something that we do have in our community, which is our library. we have an American Legion Hall, we have roads that get funded by CHIPS, we have a lot of things that the federal government has historically provided to the state, thence to the village. I would say we should be advocating for anything that we need that's going to harm us if it goes away.
So, you done?
Go.
Okay, so I don't think we should do it for a few reasons. One is, this is, as she indicated, so where does it stop? You just named a bunch of things. Every month we're gonna have a resolution on, I can name one right now, so the, what's it called? The Institute of Museum and Library Services. Okay, I know the president is trying to cut it. And in your resolution, it indicates that by federal statute, it's mandated that they fund state libraries, but it's not mandated. A portion of it is, the legislation reads, there's a portion of it that reads mandating, there's a portion of it that's discretionary. But that's an aside. What I'm concerned about is we haven't done this in the past, and I'm concerned, like, so next month I bring up, okay, you know what, President Trump is cutting positions at the VA. I'm a veteran, and a lot of it through attrition, some just outright. Do I support it? Not necessarily, no. But then it goes into what's going to happen the month after that, a resolution that let's get rid of Doge. To me, it's, and I get what you're saying. Everybody loves libraries, and I'd love to have them. I'd love everyone to have endless money, endless CHIPS money. So if he doesn't get enough CHIPS money this year, then are we going to issue a resolution that we want the state to fund more CHIPS money? So that's the first thing. So the second thing is that we haven't done this in the past, and we've stayed away from it. There are certain things we have recognized. Autism, I think Autism Awareness Month or Week, and there was maybe one other. The other thing is that you're right. There are 21 states on April 4th who have sued the federal government over the funding. Letitia James, along with, I think, New Jersey, Rhode Island, there's 21, Wisconsin, they issued it. And in fact, in her presser, she actually sued the state, excuse me, I'm saying her, the state sued for three different things, one of which is what you have brought up, Bill. And she points out that the money coming from the Institute of Museum and Library Services for last year amounted to $8 million for New York State. There's 180 million in libraries nationwide, but according to her presser, it's $8 million. The last thing is that Congressman Ryan and Senator Schumer and Gillibrand, and the governor are very good advocates for this. And I don't know what's in. I know the budget. The House passed the budget. It's going through reconciliation. I don't know how much is going to be cut, but based upon the litigation that was initiated by the 21 states, I think what's going to happen, if I had to guess, the mandatory funding, which has already started, some of it's multi-year, will continue, as well as some of the other ones. So for those sets of reasons, I just don't think it's a good idea for us to get involved in these resolutions, particularly because other people come to us and say, well, wait a minute, you did this one. How come you're not supporting this one? How come you're not supporting that one? I'd rather just focus on, and I know the library is part of our community, but there's a lot of things that are part of our community. So that's where I stand. As an aside, I spoke to Dave, not realizing, he told me, but I called him in regards to not this, but I think it was the food trucks. Not realizing that he was in Italy, and I brought this up, and I said, hey, what are your feelings about this? Long story short, he was saying this slippery slope too, in regards to, all right, what's the next resolution that's going to come up that we need, that other municipalities are looking for us to support? So that's where
I hear you both. What if it was a post office? They were gonna close our post office. Not that the library would be closed if this doesn't go through, but what if they were gonna make it so the post office just became a mailbox? Like, is there a threshold for a federally funded, provided service? And I'm not still trying to argue you into a different opinion. I just want to understand the parameters, because frankly, if the American Legion put out a call that said I'm calling on municipalities to defend our funding, I would absolutely vote to pass a resolution. So,
Well, that's why I gave the example of the VA.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone came to me, I'd be like, well, you know what? Everyone can advocate individually. You contact your local congressman, your senator, you write the letter. We just haven't had, I've been on the board since 2010. I can't remember us ever passing a resolution like this. I think there was one that Brendan might have introduced. I don't think it was passed. I know that someone wanted to, someone suggested to then Mayor Galliano in regards to a resolution supporting Ukraine. And that was shot down. It's like, okay, there's other wars going on, so why aren't we recognizing those? So I know what you're saying, but
you see the difference there, right?
I see the difference there, but that's why, but here it's, I just think there's too many things. Every month we're gonna be passing, someone's gonna call me up and say, or call you up and say, well, let's pass this resolution because I support this and I support that. My answer is, well, you know what? Why don't we focus on what we have to do here? I get the effects of it, but I'd rather stay away from it. Be apolitical about it, because listen, you're gonna get people who are gonna say, hey, you know what? I didn't think you guys should pass this resolution because I think things should be cut at the library. I think, because you have people who don't pass, people who vote against the library budget.
Yeah.
They could be the same people who are gonna come to us and, well, why are you supporting this?
They had the option to vote against us.
Yes.
Anyway,
So,
I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
I just, for the
But I
record, I feel
appreciate
like
you
the
bringing it up.
library is a very key pillar of the community and something that we should absolutely fight to defend when we can, in addition to a few other institutions that are similarly vital for our people. But I absolutely understand where you're coming from.
All right. Last two, and then we get to rip through what's coming up. So EV chargers, Bill.
So the mayor and I are going to go down tomorrow just to look at the proposed location. We've been, this is, so Dave Halverson, you have that? Yeah. So there is, this is an evolution of a discussion that's been going on for a while about the location of the one down at Donahue Park. We had previously, a while back, looked at a few locations with Central Hudson in consultation with Dave. This was a long time ago, like not a year ago, but a while ago. And we had at some point said, we'll put it in the parking lot. You had advised that's not the right location for it because we're plowing and it would be problematic there.
I would prefer to see it off the side.
When you say off the side, like where, Dave?
So there's not an island in the middle.
Right.
For a kid that comes down when it snows doing donuts in the parking lot, it's gonna wipe out the EV.
Well,
charger.
you weren't entertaining that, right? Doing
Well,
it
that's
on
what
an
now it
island.
is right
Well,
now.
no, there was, the idea,
So this
there had
one
been
is like
that
that.
suggestion that it would be out amidst two
Oh,
of the spots out there.
Oh,
And then but Dave had said that a while ago. That was not reflected in this document that they sent. So I had done a sort of crude, I went down and, did my best at putting it as two, I don't know what you'd call them, but curbside spots against the southern edge of that parking lot, with a much shorter run from the pole. So I did ask Doris. I said, my drawing's so crude, let's not include it. But now
Because you're gonna wanna put steel ballards filled with concrete around it. So if somebody does come flying in, they don't.
right. Well, but that would be on the grass in front of the panel.
Right, and then have.
So the idea would
in
be
the
to-
parking lot, then you have to plow around it.
The idea would be to take out those two spots
Yeah.
and put in two spots there.
over here.
Again, yeah, where those black
Oh, yeah,
lines
so
are.
it's cooked
But-
over onto the side.
But we're also talking about 3 kayak racks at this point. So now it's getting cramped and there's
Yeah.
some question.
In fact, remind me, Bill, I have to give you, we got something, just as an aside, from Central Hudson, and they only named, they
That was
only
the
named
second
Johnny.
one. We already had the other one though.
Oh, okay, because I didn't want to sign off on it.
Yeah, I was confused because a month ago, they gave us the
They gave you this one.
clearance
here,
for the
bar.
upper, the upper one.
Okay, all right.
And I raised that question, said, what, we have 2, and they said, yeah, we're doing them separately. And then
Okay,
This was the
all right,
second
all
one.
right, then,
Yeah.
and maybe what I'll do, I'll show it to you, because I was gonna sign off on it. I just wanted to make sure the numbers were right.
Yeah, when I asked them, if we move it, does it change the cost? And they said no. Unless,
Okay.
we're not tripling the run or anything like that, or making it 100 feet.
What about if we did?
Well, it didn't, there's other poles that we could potentially use, right? So then we could move it, but as long as as long as the trenching wasn't bad, then
Where,
they would
What-
still be
what if
doing the
we
same
did the
amount of
trenching?
work. Oh, well, that hadn't come up.
What
Where-
about, Bill, what about when you remember we were talking before, you suggested over at the other lot.
The northern end near the gazebo, but on the track side.
Yeah, the last 2 spots there.
isn't there something there?
You know what I'm saying, going closer.
Yeah, we'd probably just have to we'd have to cut that walk.
Yeah, there's a-
No,
No,
not
no,
at the
no.
gazebo, on the track side.
Oh, on the tracks.
Yeah.
On the track,
Then we gotta get is there power on it?
There must be, because the crossing is there.
Yeah, but I don't know if
Does that come
probably
off
not a
the-
transformer up there. I don't think there's a transformer there.
And this
I'm not
pole, I don't, there's not a transformer on the pole that's here, right? I
Yeah,
think
they
that,
have to upgrade that.
yes.
No,
that
there
was-
is a transformer there because we have that drop over there for Riverfest.
oh,
that's
okay.
down, yeah,
No,
that's down here, yeah, that's further down, Bill.
Isn't that where the,
No,
that
it's in
drop
here.
is where
the
the,
charger is now.
that's where the,
No.
Trailer
No, right
too.
here. Bill, this it's inside the fence
It's
line.
inside the fence.
on the
Yeah.
other
Yacht
pole,
Club,
the
yeah,
other small pole.
Yes.
which should be on.
Our
the
side
other
of the fence
Well,
after the fence moves.
well,
The fence moves.
It's,
We're working
it's
on it.
not, we're working on it. That's what we might have to do is we might have to put a door there so we can access it. So, because right now you guys jump over the fence to access it.
We walk around.
Dave, where would
I'm
Okay.
too old for jumping.
Yeah. You
All
don't
right.
wanna
Dave,
see
where
me
would you
trying to
say? Where would you say?
If we were gonna do that parking lot, I would do up towards the river, left-hand side.
When you say up to, mean, where we were
Like
just
right where
talking
the
about?
kayak racks are.
No.
All the way in that far
opposite
corner?
side, left
Oh, that
side.
would be unattractive,
Oh, over here.
I would think.
Where? Where?
I think he's saying over here, right?
Is that what you're
I'm
saying?
I'm just thinking for
I think he's saying-
maneuverability,
Oh,
protecting it.
I think he means over here.
yeah, he was, yes.
And that'd be a long trench across the whole parking lot.
The other thing you're gonna deal with over here is bringing the kayaks in,
Yeah.
the sculls in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
All of
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff,
gonna be a
so
problem.
maybe the
I
other
didn't even
parking
think
lot
about that.
is, maybe the other parking lot is a better choice. And we did lower that far end closest
right,
to the.
it's level now.
We leveled that out, so you could, and.
We have to- the
there's no real
CSX
grass or
thing, you mean?
anything there, so
Yeah,
just a couple of pine trees.
Down the north end, you mean?
yeah, the
Yeah.
spot we were talking about.
So yeah, so let's look tomorrow. I mean, basically my latest email back to the Integra Energy that's gonna be, is project managing it, was don't dig anywhere
What time
until
are
we
you
tell
gonna be
you.
down tomorrow?
We're going at
5 o'clock, take a look.
5 o'clock.
4:55?
Yeah.
Happy hour.
All right, so, look, at least we know at this point that that they said that the trenching is not gonna be a problem if we have,
Unless
first, if
it's
we have
like-
to move it.
Unless it's transformative, like a
Right.
long, the way it's been expressed to me is that the trenching is the most expensive part
Okay.
of the, besides the equipment.
Yeah.
Well, there's the stanchions and a transformer or whatever, but you think we could do it at a lower cost if we wanted to get involved in the project?
And maybe they could do some and then we do the remainder or whatever.
Like, okay. So
Yeah,
let's
so
look
let's-
at it and then
tomorrow,
we'll
yeah.
get them on the phone,
Okay.
Integra, to
I mean,
make sure
that-
that they
My
understand. what
concern
we're saying.
is it getting damaged.
Yep.
And the guys working around it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's that spot near where the kayak rack's gonna be, that's a very busy area with,
And there's never be anybody down there, it's not like town hall where it's lit up at night when people are around.
yeah, the one guy's got his car that parked there all the time with the funky
I
colors
don't, I
on
don't
it.
John
think he has a
Evans, thank you.
charger at home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They live on Main Street.
We will have the
Alright.
building department involved on that installation.
What?
So you know.
what building department?
Who's that?
I don't know, I don't hear anything.
All right.
Jim hears that voice behind him all the time. Yes, what should I know
Yeah,
about that?
I haven't filed a permit, I need to review the specs and do inspections. You can install it wherever you want, I don't say on that.
Yeah, okay. At what point in the process? Like,
When you get ready to do your contract with them and you already agree that they're gonna install it, have them submit a building permit.
I'm sure they know this. Is this a standard thing that they would encounter anywhere? I mean, you came in and did mine on my house,
Anywhere
right?
in the
So,
state of New York,
yeah, okay. So I'll just check that box. Make sure.
All right. Why don't we move, thank you very much for the update, Bill. We'll
You
see you
bet.
tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
New York State Budget Financial Report. I just put this on here to tell everyone the good news. Megan, go ahead, because I'll be long-winded about it. You can knock it out of the park.
Okay, so based off of, New York State Comptroller's Office,
It's close.
for the environmental report, we're at 0 points. It's based off of a point system. So, 0 points for each category. You're provided with the report so you can kind of run down and see the categories. And the point system down at the bottom right corner. This is based off of 2024, by the way. And then there's also our fiscal stress for just our funds, our general fund, our fund balance, cash ratio, debt service, revenue. This is also based off of a point system, and we are showing 0 points. So we are in good standing with.
So, and to keep it in perspective, yeah, for the past 3 years, we've been 0.0 for everything.
Yeah.
Just so for your understanding is, once you get to 30 to 39, it's susceptible to environmental stress. 40 to 49 is moderate stress, and then significant stress is 50. And the same thing goes for, and then
It's a little different.
yeah, for the fiscal range, you start at 45 and above. So we're in very, very good position. So that's good news from the Office of State Controller.
Yes.
It's right under here, Phil, with that, the number.
I
for the
have the
fiscal,
0
yeah.
for fiscal. What's the environmental one? Does that mean the actual physical
Yeah, it's based
environment?
off of- Well, it's
Or-
based off
I don't
of
see that.
our
Yeah,
income,
it's this
unemployment
the
rate,
last page,
state, federal
Bill.
aid.
Yeah, it's,
But I mean, what is the nature
change
of
in
the environment?
population, percentage of households that have public assistance, they take
Oh,
into
okay,
all
so
these
it's
other
like-
categories, yes.
Yeah.
So we're
it's
good on that.
good.
So another good report by
We're not
the
stressed.
state controller,
We're not
exactly,
stressed.
we're not stressed out, very good. All right,
Might be.
let's see, last thing I wanted to do was, so,
No muss.
long story short, Cornwall Yacht Club, you guys already know this, Cornwall Yacht Club every year assists DPW in putting in our docks, our boat docks. This year, what came up is that there needed to be some insurance coverage on this. The good thing is I spoke to Steve Longinoff from the Cornwall Yacht Club. They have a new apparatus for putting in the pilings. It'll take, sounds like half the amount of time. But what we did need is we needed an agreement between the village and the Cornwall Yacht Club that they're going to be doing the work on our property. We're going to hold them harmless, that unless they are completely reckless or they do something intentionally to undermine our dock space. But Joe put together an agreement. I reviewed it. It looked good to me. Dave looked at it, looked good. What Joe told me today is that he's reached out to our insurer and he's working on getting the Cornwall Yacht Club members included as additional insured. We might have to pay an additional, fee for it. It's only for 1 day per year. So what I'd like to do is just pass this resolution that authorizes Joe to send this to council or this Cornwall Yacht Club to get this initiated so we can get these docs in as soon as we can. All right, so any questions on that? Because I'll make the resolution. All right, I propose that the agreement between the Village of Cornwall and Hudson and the Cornwall Yacht Club to install pilings for the village's dock be concerning the Cornwall Yacht Club's use of their apparatus to put in and their personnel to put in the docks, subject to the village providing them as additional insured. I'm asking that we authorize Joe McKay to send the proposed agreement, which is a 4-page agreement. I propose that we authorize him to send this over to their council or their representative of the Cornwall Yacht Club as soon as possible. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You can tell Joe, I'll probably talk to him in the morning, so tell him we can send it over. He just texted me a little while ago. He said he's out of whatever he was done. All right, let me breeze through what's coming up. April 16th, Riverfest Committee, the Village Boardroom. April 19th, Cornwall Youth Garden. That's this Saturday, right? Youth Garden Club, 11 to 1 at Donahue Farm. April 21st, our meeting, the Village Boardroom. April 23rd, 6 p.m., the Donahue Farm Committee meeting. April 25th, the high school junior prom, which the chief brought up before. April 28th, spring bulk trash pickup. May 13th, the Board of Fire Commissioners meeting in the Village Boardroom. The 20th is the Cornwall school budget vote. And the 16th, I'm going to continue keeping this on our agendas. The 16th is the last day for summer camp registration deadline. All right, going around the horn. Have anything?
I got nothing.
Bill, do you have
Well, I've
anything?
said enough.
All right, very good. Motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. All right. A little bit longer than you guys thought, but I had more on here than I thought, so I know, and I didn't,
Pizza for
I'm
you.
not, no pizza for
Sorry, I
me.
was reading over your shoulder.
No pizza for me.